Coimbatore is known for motorsports. There are many tracks, especially Kari Motor Speedway, where a lot of circuit racing happening. This time, rally is going to happen in Kari Motor Speedway. This race is very special. Why? We are going to know more about it. And we have a special guest here, Mr. Karna Kadur. He is 3 times national champion and also an expert in rally. And we are going to discuss with him a lot about rally, especially the ARC rally, which is going to happen on 25th and 26th of July in Coimbatore. Hi, sir.
Hello.
Sir, what is rally?
Well, rallying is one of the most expressive forms of motorsport. One of the most challenging, and it's a little different to racing. Racing is where you go on a circuit, but in a rally we use public roads which are closed for public, and these can be tarmac sections, these can be gravel sections, these can be a mix of tarmac and gravel. So the number of challenges are very high, and irrespective of how many times you drive on the same stage, every time you approach a certain corner, there's going to be a different approach to it because of the changing surfaces, changing conditions, and the speed that you're carrying cannot be the same or identical. So there are various different factors. And so rallying is very different to racing. A lot of people confuse both, and they're two different genres of motorsport.
Now, how the rally happens?
You have different categories to begin with. Rally 1 cars, and then you have the Rally 2 cars, Rally 3 cars, Rally 4 or Classic, and each of them are governed by a different set of regulations, and these regulations determine the speed of the cars or the build. If you take a Rally 1 car, will produce close to about 200 plus horsepower, and then you have about 280 Nm of torque. And then if you look at a Rally 2 car, that produces about 140 to 150 horsepower, and then close to about 240 or 230 Nm of torque. And if you look at an RC3 or the Rally 3 cars, they produce close to about 110 horsepower and 150 Nm of torque. So as you see, the categories have different speeds. They're built a certain way. The regulations, in order to keep the costs low, are also governed a certain way. So it makes the cars and categories different. So if you ideally have to progress in rallying, you have to start with the basic, which can be the old cars or the classic cars. From there, you progress onto the Rally 3 cars. You progress onto that. And from there, we move to the Rally 2 and Rally 1 eventually. But someone can bypass all these categories and straight away do a Rally 1 also. Maybe a couple of years in different categories and move up straight away to the top category or the premier category of rallying. Those are the cars that are really quick. But then that again comes down to the affordability, the budgets, because it's not that there are 20 teams out there that are going to hire you for, pay you and let you drive. So it's the sport in our country is still not evolved to that level, but it has to at some point, and we're all here trying to help achieve that.
How much preparation gets into preparing a rally car, and what are all the challenges involved in preparing the rally car?
You need to have someone with the experience to be able to guide and put together all of us together to build a good car. As long as the team, whether it's new mechanics, freshers, graduates, interns who are all working with us, the passion, the dedication that is required to build a good rally car or a good race car is very different than what you would expect at your regular service centers, the dealerships. Whoever is going to be smart, quick to think on their feet, adapt to the changing conditions and situations. Those are very important things, that makes a team good. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of, you can build a car for 2 lakhs, you can build a car for 25 lakhs, you can build a car for 2 crores and so on and higher. So there's no limit, You may have all the money, but that's not enough to build a good car. And you may have all the talent, but if you have no financial backing, you can never get very far. It's very important to understand the difference between the two.
In Formula 1, they change the tires according to the weather and according to the racing condition. And in rally, how they change the tires, or whether any checkpoints are there to check the cars, and how they do all these things.
Yeah, of course, we have different tires for different conditions. I'll come to that. But then to just let everyone know, rallying also requires tires to be changed. You're prone to picking up tire damages or punctures or whatever it could be. And the driver, co-driver are responsible to pull up in a safe environment in the stage or outside the stage.
So both the driver and co-driver only will do, no mechanic?
Yeah, in the stages.
In the stages, okay.
That's, I mean, even outside the stages, till the time the car comes back to service, you cannot take outside assistance. Okay. So the service park is where your team is, your mechanics are, your engineers are. So that is where they can work on the car in the prescribed time that you have.
Oh.
So there will be only 30 minutes of service that is available. So within that timeline, you can. But anything outside of the service, in those control areas, you cannot take service. You will be penalized. If you know. So
the driver also should be a mechanic.
You have some basic knowledge. You can quickly change tires.
Formula 1, the tire change happens in 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Yeah,
and in rally, how fast?
Yeah, it's because the driver, co-driver completely strapped in. So they have to unstrap themselves, run around, figure out which tire it is. And there's a battery gun, so they need to get the equipment. They need to put the jack. And there's a quick jack that is available. So the car goes up in less than a couple of seconds, and then you take the tire off. It's not as simple as leaving the tires out. Like in Formula 1, that's what you see on TV. There are plenty of mechanics, maybe 2 mechanics for each side. But in this scenario, it's the driver who's also driving. So there's going to be X amount of fatigue, which people don't factor. You know, no matter how fit you are, the adrenaline is quite high, and then you quickly get down, you change the tire, and you can't leave the tire there. So you put it back in and you have to safely strap it, get back and strap yourself back in before you start. So it's a process. So it takes time. It takes, I think the best in the world do it in around 2 minutes.
So everything in 2 minutes.
They finish all of that and they continue. Okay. And yeah, I mean, that's how it is. And coming back to the question of the tires, there are plenty of combinations. You know, there's many things. So which is why someone who has mastered all of this can make a difference in terms of advising you what would work well. And it's not necessary that it always works well. So even if you know it all on that particular day, things can go wrong. So and it all comes down to luck. It also comes down to the ability to things falling in place, because there are many different departments that need to fall in place for you to emerge victorious. That's another challenge.
It will be very interesting to watch as well.
Yes, there's a lot of spectator points or areas, or people, you know, have the tendency of coming and watching the cars through the stages on multiple occasions, because it's only in Coimbatore perhaps that you stand in one place and you get to watch the cars in 2 or 3 different locations. You see it pass you once, then maybe a couple of minutes later it passes you again from a different direction. That's what's unique in Coimbatore. But in other cities or other venues that we rally, perhaps you just get to watch the car once and they pass by, and then it's not necessary that you get to watch them again. But the idea here in Coimbatore is very different. So that's why I think a lot of people travel from Kerala. A lot of people come down from different parts. If there's good competition, good drivers, you know, it's a sport that attracts a good crowd as well. So Chikmagalur was one of those venues, I think, 10 years ago, when we used to rally. They used to have a super special stage inside a school, and it attracted the massive crowd, the biggest that I've seen in my rally time. So hopefully we can replicate something like that. We should, and people should come. It's a very different sport. A lot of people don't know such a sport even exists, even till date. So I think through social media platforms or advertising or different means of reaching out to them and letting people know that such events happen, and it would be nice to have everyone come.
So what is Hark Rally and why it is happening now?
Well, Arch Rallying is basically a name that we just came up with our dear friends, Mr. Tyagarajan, and he owns Chettinad, and AR for Arca, so ARCH is Arch, and that's something that we all just came up with as a name, and they've been involved in the sport a lot longer than me, so 35 odd years, and Mr. Leela Krishnan is about 40 plus years, so it was about time that everyone give back to the sport that they love so much. And unfortunately, today in our country, we don't have as many events which encourages or, is a connect between grassroots motorsports and the main national championship. So we are limited to probably 5 or 6 rallies in a year. But the enthusiastic drivers or the passionate drivers need to wait for a long duration to know when the rallies are happening. And even if you do 6 rallies in a year, even if it's one a month, you're still left with another 6 months of no rallying activity. In France, they have 423 rallies in 365 days. So that means you have multiple rallies happening on the same day in different parts of the country. They still attract close to about 200 entries. There's no reason why India cannot be there, but that's not going to happen in a long time to come for sure. But someone somewhere needs to make a start. Good quality events attract good drivers, and good drivers is the need of the hour right now in our country. If you look at it, there's no new faces, no new talent that's coming into the sport. At some point, we need to be able to attract new people. We need to make the sport evolve a certain way. We need to be more competitive friendly. We need to be team friendly. We need to be people friendly. And we need to listen to the pulse of what people want also, which is why we just came up with the idea of not trying to compete with anyone, but having a separate set of events. Hopefully we can make a series out of it. And, it should cater to another crowd that is interested, but doesn't have the avenue or the opportunity to go and drive. So we normally have off seasons, so there are plenty of things that we can still achieve. There's no point only cribbing about the way the sport is being governed or the way the infrastructure is in our country. In high time, I think like-minded people got together and they can be a part of the change rather than always criticizing what's not happening, because I've been a part of it. I've seen the criticism about the sport for a long time now. But I thought somewhere we need to start making a change. Yes, we don't have the kind of bandwidth. To be honest, I'm still a driver. So, unfortunately, I've had to sacrifice my seat this time around by joining hands with everyone to organize the rally.
Okay.
But sooner or later, I'd like to go back to driving because I still do have a couple of years more left in my driving. So, I'd like to enjoy that and then maybe call it a day. So, that day is not today. So until then, maybe I continue driving in the national championships and help organize these regional rallies or regional events and try and build on this.
How many participants are going to be there and from where and all are they coming?
We've had to limit the entries to 40 because this would be perhaps the first time in Coimbatore that in the last 15-20 years that we're having a night stage, which is going to run here on the 25th at the Kari Speedway on and off the track. So we have a time limitation, so which is why we had to restrict the entries to 40. And hopefully in the later editions of events that we conduct, and hopefully we can slowly build on it. We're not looking at large number of participants. We are looking at trying to provide quality events, trying to build a good motorsport ecosystem, trying to build on a good, happy environment, and we can all move ahead together. There's still a lot that we all need to do as teams and drivers and co-drivers and officials and, to progress. There's a lot more that needs to achieve before we can expect, greater results. So to have a small number of 40 to work with is quite challenging in itself. So we can first focus on that and then look at trying to expand the grid. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.